everybody. Welcome back to another Rory pop-up. Yes, I am popping up because in my last podcast, I mentioned that I was going to do a pop-up and it was going to be about how these flying monkeys are absolutely having to admit that Meghan and Harry is missed, that the roles that we call the left behinds are liking in charisma, liking in excitement, and generally just liking. And they have started to write about it. We are getting article after article after article of them talking about how much Harry and Meghan's presence in that family is missed. I think Tom Thumbhead Sykes said it was a hairy shaped hole in Trooping of the Color. And now, this woman, she is from Australia and she is a royalist to her core. But now here she is admitting that Harry and Meghan would have made a big difference in every aspect of Trooping of the Color. They would have made it more exciting. They would have made it more welcoming and modern. Yes, they are admitting to that. And also in every article, they talk about how it would have been if Harry and Meghan had been on the balcony with Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, and how much better it would have been, and how the monarchy is dying. Yes, they are absolutely admitting to it. And like I said, this woman from Australia, her name is Daniela, Elser. I think that's the way you pronounce her name, Daniela Elser. And she is a die-hard royalist. She is always trashing Harry and Meghan. And here she is having to get on her knees and bow down to the real king and queen, which is Harry and Meghan, and admit that it was a huge mistake made by Charles and William to bully them out of the family. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. And this particular squatty posted the article. And the name of the article is Raw Photo Taken Just Years Apart Show Sad New Reality. Comparing two iconic photographs just years apart show a sad new reality the royals are facing. Yes, I'm telling you, we got all those emotional support posts, but it absolutely looked like people are really starting to pay attention to the barrier pole. Because I have said this from the beginning. The barrier pole is the only pole that matters. Because these emotional support poles are exactly that, made up poles to make them feel better about being mediocre. Yes, this is exactly what's happening. But now people are starting to pay attention to the real poll, because at the end of the day, people vote with their feet. If they like you, they show up. Look how they showed up for Harry on the 10th anniversary of Invictus. They were lined around the block just to get a glimpse of him and to yell, Harry, I love you. Now that right there is a poll. Yes, it shows that Harry has more support in the UK than those emotional support polls show. Because we all know that that is just made up nonsense. But when the rubber hit the road and the people have to show up behind those barriers, Harry draws the people. And in contrast, that family over there does not. And they have started to write about it. They have started to notice that the polls that they conduct, like the YouGov poll, is just not matching the barrier poll. And like I said, we all know the barrier poll is the only poll that matters. All right, y'all. This particular squatty posted that and said this, gosh, Chief hater Danielle Esser wrote a whole article saying that the monarchy will never recover from losing Harry and Meghan. Absolutely, she did. I mean, this is one of the biggest haters it is, one of the biggest royalists it is. When Harry and Meghan left, she was a flying monkey from hell. And here she is having to admit that she was wrong, having to admit that that family did the wrong thing when it comes to the way they treated Harry and Meghan. And it goes on and says the Sussexes made royalty seem relevant, interesting, and contemporary in a way that a 1001 Hello magazine covers and tireless visits to Barnard Regis never would. Yes, admitting to it. That it doesn't matter how many times you put them on the cover of something, it still does not make them relevant, interesting, or contemporary. And it definitely do not bring the eyeballs. We have saw it time and time again where they'll post something about them, maybe the Daily Fail or the Mirror or one of those rags over there, and even People magazine here, and it gets hardly no engagement, especially Charles and Camilla. Because when I tell you nobody's interested in Charles and his horse, nobody is interested in Charles and his horse. And as for William and Kitty Cat, they get very, very little engagement too. I mean, even when they incorporate the kids into it, they still get very little engagement. I think Megan watching the ducks I think it was during Easter, watching the ducks cross the road got like over 12 million views. They could only dream of what the ducks bring in because they barely, William and Kate on a good day will break a million and a half. Megan is always coming like 4 or 5 million. And I think her baby mama dance video is at 51 now. Yes. So this proves that nobody is interested in anything that those left behinds are doing over there. They're just about standing on their heads and doing cartwheels to try to get anybody to pay them any attention, while Harry and Meghan only have to simply go out of the door. And so this is why we are starting to get articles like this. Yes, articles about what if, articles about coulda, shoulda, woulda. I really feel that some segments of the British media and Australian media are starting to come to terms with their loss. They're at the final stage of grief, and that would be acceptance. Acceptance of the choices that have been made and the consequences that they have to accept. And that is that Harry and Meghan ain't never coming back. They are not. And they absolutely fumbled the bag. They fumbled the bag. I have said this many times before. If William and Kate only had the foresight to join with Harry and Meghan, they would have been a force to be reckoned with. Harry would have made William a better king. Meghan would have made Kate a better queen. But they could not see that because of their jealousy, their envy, and their short sightedness. And now here they are, stuck in a time loop, meaning that they cannot get out. And what is happening is they are in this monarchy, they are in this institution, and it is circling the drain. The respect is dwindling. The reverence is gone. The reverence for the crown died with the queen, with the proper queen. And nothing is left except a hollow shell of what used to be. And they are stuck in it. And you can see it all in their faces. They are the most unhappy lot. If you didn't know that these people was miserable before Trooping of the Colors, get a load of that balcony and you will know that these people have all this wealth, all these riches, all these jewels, and they are miserable. They are miserable. They are the poster child for that saying that money cannot buy you happiness, because they absolutely are the most unhappiest lot you most want to see. I'm just saying. All right, I digress. I'm going to get back to this article. It's just bits and pieces in here that I want to touch on. Like I said, the name of the article is Raw Photo Taken Just 2 Years Apart Shows Sad New Reality. Comparing two iconic photographs just years apart shows a sad new reality the royals are facing. And like I said, it is by Daniela Elser. And it says aerial shot of this year's trooping suggests I am not alone in feeling this way. With the 2025 crowd size based on a bit of highly scientific eyeballing appearing to be smaller than previously. Yes, they absolutely have started to notice. They can't tell themselves, you know, the lies that they have been telling themselves and believing, because now it's there for everyone to see. And it goes on, for some reason the crowd was not willing to stand around for a age to see a few 80 somethings dukes who never had to buy their own white slice or fill out a job application stand on the balcony. But see, she's disingenuous. She wants to lie and put it all on the people who are elderly. Well, they forgetting William, his wife, and his young children were there on the balcony, front and center, and the crowd still wasn't there. They still did not come out. Yeah, so now they're trying to put it all on the old dukes and duchesses, all the 80 somethings. Well, let me tell you, it was some 40 somethings on the balcony as well as their children. The crowd, the barrier pole absolutely was devastatingly brutal when it came to that family. It is not the 80 somethings, it's all of them. The British people is starting to lose interest in them. And they know that they're in trouble because Charles at the helm of the firm, they're in trouble. William at the helm of the firm, they're in trouble. George has another about 20 years before he can take over. I don't know what kind of person he's going to be. I hope he is a good person. But we all know the kind of people that that firm churns out. Their track record is not that good when it comes to creating and cultivating decent people, because I yet got to see the first one. And the only reason the queen seemed like she was a decent person is she didn't really grow up in the system. It's crazy. But I digress. This goes on to say what proves truly devastating was when 2 months later, in January 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, announced that they were done with towing the line. And we all know that that right there is not exactly true. Harry and Meghan was bullied out by William. And I think to some extent, Charles as well. But it's this part right here. This part she wrote. The addition of a biracial divorced American go-getter who could wear the hell out of a pair of jeans was the shot in the arm the palace never knew they needed so badly. Admitting admitting that the palace made a mistake and they needed Meghan. Now, the way she phrased that, I'm not thrilled with that, but she still had to admit that Meghan absolutely would have made that institution a better place, a better institution. If it had stayed the Fabulous Four of Harry and Meghan and William and Kate, they could have taken over the world. People would have been listening to everything that they had to say. But like I said, they couldn't do that. William and Kate could not do that. They absolutely could not take it. Their ego could not take the hit. But this part right here, listen, it says, imagine how this year's palace balcony scene could have looked if the great Mexidine had somehow been prevented. Harry grinning up a storm and corralling his young children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibeth. Meghan doing superlative, stunning hat work. The combination of the Sussexes and the Wales would have made the future of the royal family seem young, exciting, and glamorous. Instead, what the photos of this year's Trooping of the Colors spells out is that the loss of the Duke and Duchess is not something that the palace can or will recover from soon. What y'all think about that? It has happened. It's starting to settle in. They are starting to understand the loss. The loss of Harry and Meghan has been devastating to that family. And now they're starting to admit it. And all I can say is, I love it for all of them. I love it for us. I love it for Harry and Meghan. Because at the end of the day, it's nobody's fault that that firm is circling the drain except William and Charles and Kate and the horse. It falls right there at their feet. And like I said earlier, I love it for them. I love it for us. And I love it for Harry and Meghan. Also, I just wanted to be clear. The photo that they are talking about is the photo of in front of Buckingham Palace where they come out on the balcony. You know, back just a year or two prior, how different it looks since Charles has taken the helm. Each year it gets a smaller and smaller crowd. Yes, and they think that if William becomes king, things are going to be better. Do they not know William is on the balcony right there with Charles and it's still the same? I'm just saying. Yeah, I'd love this for them. I do. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. And this is from Tom Sykes. Y'all know I lovingly call him Tom the Thumbhead Sykes because to me his head looked just like my thumb. But I digress. He wrote a similar article to, what's her name, Daniela Elser. And the title of his article is Hairy-Shaped Hole Haunts King Charles's Birthday Parade. And his article is so similar to hers, talking about, how Harry, how different it would be if Harry and Meghan and the children were there. They had avoided all of this. The woulda, coulda, shouldas have really set in for these flying monkeys. They are starting to accept the fact that this was a huge, huge mistake. This was a huge, huge fumble of a bag. And now all of them have to suffer for that. Not only is that family circling the drain, but these flying monkeys who make their living off of the royal family is circling the drain. Do you honestly think that U.S. news markets or any world news market is really going to pay a lot of money for pictures of that family over there? Really? Who is going to do that? But when Harry and Meghan was there, they were making money. They were really making money hand over fist because the world was paying attention. The world wanted to know what was coming up next. But what the world saw was their envy, their jealous, their bitterness, and all of the mistreatment and abuse that they were heaping on Harry and Meghan. That is how the Sussex Squad came to existence because we were watching. And little did they know that their behavior was creating the environment for their demise. And that is exactly what is happening now. They tried to destroy Harry and Meghan and is ending up destroying themselves. And all I can say, I love that for them. And now they've started to look inward for answers. They're starting to accept the fact that they got this one wrong. And they want so desperately to make it right. But we all know too much water has passed under the bridge for that. Harry and Meghan will never go back over there and have Charles and William put their foot on their neck again. That's not going to happen. They're free now, and it's no looking back for them. But all that's left over there across the pond for that family and those flying monkeys who chose each other against Harry and Meghan is to slip down the drain together. And all I can say, the sooner the better. Yes, the sooner the better. Go ahead on. Slip on down the drain so we can have a party. That's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. I'm going to put this up, and it's more acceptance when it comes to the flying monkeys. Looky, 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 looky at this. Yes, even the emotional support poles are starting to turn on that family. This showed up in the Express, and it says King Charles dealt blow as support for the monarchy plummet in shock new poll. Well, it's only shocking to them because they've been absolutely lied to one another, making them believe that somehow this institution that does nothing but takes from its people and never gives anything is somehow needed and is relevant and popular. I mean, you have to be completely delulu to believe that, but we all know they are completely delulu. But yes, it says the British public favorability towards the royal family has declined in recent years, new poll finds. Now, I didn't go and look this particular article up because at the end of the day, they are not telling me nothing that I didn't already know. Nothing that squatties have not been trying to tell these derangers, these trolls, these flying monkeys, these ugly old hags, these minions, and also the stinking old skanks that this family is not as popular as you think it is. A lot of it is online paid bots. And when the barrier poll is published, when it's time to show up for the barrier poll, then the barrier poll is saying exactly what this poll right here is saying, that that family is not popular. I mean, it has been there for everyone to see who wanted to see it. But yes, this is what they are publishing over there. Acceptance. Now, is everybody willing to accept it? No, because we see how the fail continues to behave and lie and lie and lie for that family. So, no, everybody hadn't come to the last stage of grief. But you can clearly see that the worm is starting to turn. And a lot of these old die-hard royalists have to admit, yeah, this family is on life support. And this particular squatty that posted it said this: but Megan. Yes, we all know that they are going to try to blame Megan for their unpopularity, for them not being popular. And this squatty came up under that and said, how long will it be before they start blaming Megan for this? Exactly. Yes, blame the victim. Blame the person that you have smeared over and over and over again for what? Going on 6 years now? No, really, 8 years. 8 years that they have been doing this. But yet and still blame her, because if she didn't exist, you wouldn't have to smear her, and then people would not have saw who you really was, who this institution really was. It's not all the roses and the caring and the knights in shining armor and the king, the kindly king. No, it's none of that. It's very ruthless people, scorpions, lizard people who have cold blood running through their veins, who are willing to do anything and everything in order for them to shine, in order for them to be centered. Yes, and if that includes someone's life being lost, they're down with that too. And all of that has been shown. It has nothing to do with Megan, but we all know that they will make it all about Megan. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all a little later. Bye.